26-foot Gen 2 shark that is fully capable of destroying cameras and using things as battering rams. This is what I do to survive. Did you think that was dumb?
So I have a lot of thoughts about that particular instance. So first off, I think this character, Janice, is supposed to be the Lambert of the film from Alien. She's supposed to be, she's supposed to have, basically she lost her husband and potentially the child of her unborn
deleted scene, but yeah, she's pregnant in deleted scenes.
Yeah. So she essentially is supposed to be having shock. She's supposed to be in shock this entire time, and people just didn't register that. So I have no problem with how she died. It's very disorienting. In my mind, while watching this is sort of tangential, but when I was watching this, I kept thinking the shark wanted her to survive, right? But here's why. The shark's trying to herd them into a location. That's why it didn't kill her immediately. But she was in the water for so long that the shark's like, well, then now I have to do it because then they think I'm not in danger.
I gave you time.
Yeah. Because Carter, that shark could have snacked on Carter easily. Like that.
Exactly. That's where the idea came from.
You got a Carter dog, which
it could have
Robert
done.
Carlyle would eat.
Could have done Carter, it didn't. Yep. She fell in the water. She was there for too long. They couldn't save her. The shark's like, I gotta do this now or they're not gonna be scared of me. And then it could have also jumped out of the water and hit him on the ledge, on the ladder.
Easily.
Yeah, this is like a really good understanding of what is going on in the film because the shark clearly is hurting them and not trying to scare them too much.
Well, that's the same thing with Sam Jackson. He died a few scenes ago. He was stood on the edge of that pool for like 2.5 minutes giving a speech, and the shark's down there thinking, like, they know I'm down here, they know I can see him, I've got to take him out at some point. And if he'd stepped off before then, it would have been fine. But he was there too long. He was there too long.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree that the shark didn't go for Carter on purpose. And with the whole Janice should have swum to the side, she falls in, and by the time she gets to the surface, Carter is essentially above her.
Mm-hmm.
So he's practically there. So he's then trying to save her from the center of the ladder, from the middle of the shaft. So that's her closest point of exit, is the hands that are just out of reach. So I can completely understand her not swimming to the side of the ladder.
Yeah. I also wanted to comment on something you said, Mark, here. You said dumb, it was like cracked article, dumb things in horror movies, right? So I have generally a very wide interpretation of horror movies. And generally a movie for me is not 100% a horror movie. It's probably it's like a percentage. This to me is more of an adventure movie than a horror movie. I know that a lot of people die, which makes it horrific, but there is no scary moments. There's one jump scene. And in a horror movie, all three of them would have fallen into the water and they would have all tried to escape. And then you don't know which one's going to die. And this one, you always knew Janice was going to die.
Oh, wow. No, I mean, that's a great point. You go to a Blockbuster and you see it in the action area. You're like, I get it. But if you see it in the horror area too, you're like, I get it. It's yeah, I guess it could be lumped in either place. But no, I think this is. Have we talked about this, Jay? It's an adventure horror.
We haven't. I mean, technically, it's sci-fi as well because you got the sharks, but I think that's more tangentially sci-fi. But yeah, I've never considered it a horror film. I've never been scared by Deep Blue Sea. The notion of being scared by Deep Blue Sea is ridiculous to me. I know there are people we had on the show who are scared of sharks, mainly from Jaws. I get it, but it's similar to other. It's a creature feature, isn't it? It's like Jaws, like Anaconda, like
Godzilla,
other monster films that you would consider them all at least a little bit horror-esque. So yeah, but it's more of an adventure film to me, definitely.
It just gets me because I know there have been times, right, where I stub my toe and I'm jumping around the house. I remember one time I was at the gym and I got a toe cramp and I was running around the gym. I kicked my shoe off and I was screaming around the gym with a toe cramp. So, I mean, imagine if you're in the water in shock, underwater for 15 seconds, you're not going to think about swimming to a ladder. There's no...
She was just on a ladder.
Yeah.
She didn't want to go back to a ladder. That was the problem.
I think one of my favorite visuals now of this entire podcast, this is the shark under the water, looking at its little looking at its fin watch, and just come on, Janice, come on, this is looking bad. I'm giving you
a chance.
Yeah, come on, Carter. Do you think he lifted her up to get her to grab Carter's arm? He jumped her up. He tried to help
allow
her.
For how slippery the wetsuit was.
Yeah, and so he kind of dragged her underwater. He's like, I'll help you. Drags her underwater, swims backwards 10 feet, and then lunges forward. I'll get you to Carter. And he's just like, come on, Carter. Come on.
So my favorite visual from this segment is Janice sitting in the shark's mouth. If you look at it and pause it, the actress is just sitting in this fake shark's mouth, and it is hilarious looking.
Yeah.
You would never see it if you were doing, a normal podcast on this. Only when you look at it, like second by second will you see it.
Yeah, as we said before, you're not supposed to pause this film. You're supposed to watch this film. But yeah, I've got it freeze framed, and she's just sat in this mechanical shark. That's wonderful.
Yeah, but do you think the shark was having a laugh?
Yeah.
Like, you think he's trying to help? You're just like, here you go. No.
Yeah.
Just out of reach.
And I also think, have you seen that commercial where those kids keep running in the worst imaginable spots? And like, oh, quick, let's run into that cabin full of chainsaws. Mm-hmm. And so they're hiding in all these chainsaws, and the killer's behind him. And the killer picks up his mask and just shakes his head no, like, oh, these idiots. The shark, I'm telling you, the shark right now is like, come on, like, jumps her up to get there. I do remember the behind the scenes videos when she's talking about doing this scene. She's like, I really hope this works, because this is a pretty gnarly gag we're pulling off here in this set. But I gotta tell you, I adore this set. And also this scene, in this 4-minute scene, I think we get you're on the seat of your chair? Wait, you're on the edge of your seat. I was going to say the seat of your pants. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just sitting in a chair. But like you get the scene with Carter opening the door with his bionic stud muffin strength. Then he gets in the water. The shark fake kills him. Then the ladder falls. We see beautiful grip strength. Janice goes in the water. Janice is eaten. And then we get the banging on the door, which is a very fun gag because you think it's another shark. And then it's Preacher.
A rogue creature appears.
Yeah. So in 4 minutes, Harlan and crew, they packed a lot into this 4 minutes. I mean, some teams probably could have gotten by with 2 of those scares. But, and I also love the scene where Carter's reaching down and he has fire above him, and then below is this murderous shark. I mean, you're in a pickle.
That's a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
With this scene, the one thing that I realized that doesn't happen in this film involving sharks is that you never see a shark come falling onto someone. And that's what I really want to see, because once you knew it was Preacher, I was like, I really just want to see the sharks like slam through the wall and just like a ton of sharks come down at people instead of coming up towards them.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I mean, so Mako sharks, the highest a Mako shark has been recorded jumping is 9 meters. These sharks are faster. So this shark, if someone wasn't paying attention, could jump out of the water. What do you think, Jake? 12 meters, since they're so fast and modified?
Yeah, I reckon at least 11, so let's go 12, yeah.
All right, so 12 meters up in the air, and someone's just like, where is it? And it just swallows them whole. Oh my gosh. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, that's getting, sharks swallowing people whole is getting a little too Sharknado for me.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of vampire movies lately. I got a data thing coming up for them. And it's just, that'd be amazing if someone looked up and the shark's just hanging there, like above them. And you're like, what? And it just drops and then gulps them whole. And then that scene
just
is
hanging
over.
like in Jurassic World.
Yes.
For the mosasaur.
Yes. That'd be amazing. No? Would you?
Yeah.
I mean, not in this movie. Maybe in, let's see, Sharknado that would work. It just opens its eyes like a vampire and just drops.
It just unfurls some wings and flies off.
Yeah. What did you do to these things? All right, listen. I'm Chimera Pharmaceuticals. And I learned that Dr. Susan McAllister has created a vampire shark that's smarter than any human being on the planet. I'm going to be a little miffed, but I'm also going to be impressed. Like, I'm putting her face up on the plaque, Hall of Fame. I'm like, she went insane, but she created a miracle. Like,
yeah, first question is why? Why?
Yeah.
Why? But yeah, that's impressive.
Hey,
like, vampire sharks with like 3 layers of those big vampire teeth.
Oh
That'd be cool.
gosh. Stupid question. If Robert Carlyle ate one of the vampires from 30 Days of Night, does it get the vampire power?
Oh my god.
Are vampires technically humans? Or are they technically something else?
It's a great question.
Again, that depends on the mythology, I would assume. I would say they're probably humans who are infected with vampirism. But the Wendigos are also sort of vampire-esque too. Mm-hmm. Like they're eating life form. I'm gonna allow it.
So you have a flying. Oh,
we're getting to the situation for like if a human eats a werewolf and that same werewolf then eats a vampire, you have a human with vampire and werewolf powers. I guess you're just creating Underworld, but
which we're covering the entire franchise soon.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, I'm excited for that one too.
Yeah, imagine a Robert Carlyle vampire werewolf.
He's already been a zombie as well in 28 Weeks Later.
That's right. I love that chase scene in the beginning of 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah.
With the temperament of his character from Trainspotting, just throwing glasses off balconies.
I love Begbie.
Oh, man. What happened to Jay? Vampire Carlyle got him. Oh.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So a question I have for you guys is, how did you feel when Janice died? Like, what was going through your head when it happened?
I've grown a bond with her, Jay, right? Like over this podcast, we've really talked about how she's done a lot of heavy exposition? Yeah, a dialogue. Yeah. I mean, she's really carried some scenes.
We'll no longer learn anything new about Aquatica because she's the only one who can tell us. So the information that we have is all that we'll get at this point.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I like her. I think she did a lot with what she has. I don't think I was ever super depressed, but I mean, the kill itself, aside from her sitting in the shark's mouth, I mean, it is a mean kill. I mean, I look back at shark movies with leg bites, and you have Jaws where Quint gets slowly eaten legs first, The Shallows, Blake Lively's leg gets bitten, and then you have Batman with the bat repellent, and then Jaws 4, the banana boat leg kill. But this is one of the more brutal, like this is just the imagery of it, I think, creates brutality. So you feel bad for her. I mean, she's just the innocent.
I would say it's not even a leg kill. It's a crotch bite.
Yeah.
Like she's literally sitting in its mouth.
Man, I'm telling you, that thing tried to help her.
Yeah, I think so.
What'd you think? Yeah. Did you miss her, Jay? Are we going to miss her from now on?
We've had 20 episodes. We spent a lot of time with Janice. I think first time I watched it, I didn't expect her to survive the film. She was in a kind of subcategory with Scoggins of secondary characters. She's not one of the leads of the film, but she's, as you said, she's done a good deal with what she had. She's a great actress, great character.
Mm-hmm.
But these films have body counts, and she was destined to be amongst it.
Yeah, I had no thought. I was like, oh, she's dying. But while watching, so this is the first time I've watched it in 15 years. Let's put it out there. So I didn't really remember it. But as soon as she came on screen, I was like, oh yeah, she's totally going to bite it. Not a pun. I did not mean that as a pun. But I also was like, I didn't really have a lot of thought. But once I started thinking about it, once it already happened, I was like, well, maybe I don't like Janice all that much. Like for example, she explains the situation to Samuel L. Jackson's character. It's like telling your boss what's going on, right? She's like, by the way, I know you paid for all this, but I'm just going to remind you all the stuff you bought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he doesn't seem to know. He seems pretty unaware of everything that's going on at Aquatica.
I would say that is debatable. Because they have a conversation, they say they don't like tourists, and the subtext there is that he understands what's going on, and that he's not just a random person.
And then he does know Carter, right? He knows Carter's backstory. Do you think it's the classic case of just kind of playing dumb, like Brendan Gleeson from The Guard, which is like, you're the dumbest person I've ever met or the smartest?
It's a classic case of the movie needed to tell the audience what was going on. And if you're not paying too much attention, it's fine. Let's be honest.
And I guess narratively it makes sense because you just bring in the new person to tell them, because it'd be weird if she was telling Skarsgård all this. I hate those conversations. Jay, you and I have been friends for 10 years.
Mark, you're my co-host.
Yeah, we met at university, Harvard, and we both majored in biochemistry. And in the last 10 years, you and I have been working on grants, and we've finally done this together. And now that we spliced these koalas' genes, we're going to turn them into... Oh gosh, Robert Carlyle comes in here and eats him. Yeah, exactly. We finally figured out the Wendigo.
That's why Jurassic Park has the best exposition scene of all time, with the Mr. DNA dinosaur because that's people who don't know how that happened, and it's an entertaining process. You got a little cartoon, you get some great voice work and animation on there. It's a freaking little theme park ride they're on that they break, and it's the best exposition scene in history. You don't have. because that's designed for people who don't understand the situation.